day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Hope you woke up on the right side of the bed instead of the wrong side of the bed. I'm hoping that you're using your head instead of losing your head. Sometimes you're gonna have to break bread to keep the poor man fed. See what I'm saying? We all got things that we're going through. We all got things that we're facing. Every day is different. Every day is brand new. Every day is another day for you to get up and get yourself together. See what I'm saying? But first you got to make sure you're telling God thank you. And you're saying, Lord, I thank you for waking me up today. You see what I'm saying? And then you go ahead and get your day started. Give God your first fruit. Be grateful. Be thankful for all the good days and all the bad days. For all the times that you went through the pain and the suffering. You know what I'm saying? Tell God thank you. Because it could have been worse. And warning come for destruction, pride come for the fall. God didn't bring you this far to cause you to fall. God didn't bring you this far to cause you to stumble. You know what I'm saying? When you are trusting the process and you are doing what God is telling you to do, which means you're not giving up, you're not bowing down, you're not allowing the evil around you to stop you from doing what God says, then God will continue to walk and talk with you. God will continue to bless you. You know what I'm saying? But this is a brand new day. This is another day that the Lord has made. So, let's get on up and let's do what we got to do. And let's stay true to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Forgive those who have wronged you. Forgive those who have hated you without a cause. And forgive yourself for not knowing who you are. Forgive yourself for not knowing that you was great. Forgive yourself. Because we got things that we face and we got things that we go through. If you're in a situation where God is telling you to help somebody, then you help them. But I know what it's like to to live in situations that not so great. I know what it's like to when your flesh is weak but your soul is willing. I know what it's like, when you just want to do the right thing, but it seems like something got a hold of you. But that's why you got to continue to deny yourself. Continue to walk down the road less traveled. Continue to tell God thank you. It's going to be all right. Keep stepping. Keep moving forward. Continue to tell God thank you. And take advantage of the day. You only got so much time in the day. Don't keep putting it off. As long as you keep God first, God will get you through any trial, any tribulations. You make your bed in hell, God gonna be there with you. You make your bed in heaven, God gonna be there with you. Whatever you decide to make your bed, God gonna be there with you. So that's why it's good that you treat others how you want to be treated. Show love to one another. How you gonna love a God that you never seen, but hate your brother that you see every day? Every day you wake up, you gotta say, God, I got what it takes. You gotta say, yes, Lord, I'm here. Every day. Every day you wake up, you gotta be able to stay focused. You gotta be able to love yourself. You gotta be able to trust the process. You can't get nothing out of life being bitter or you being cold-hearted or you being stiff. You say, I work hard for what I got. I ain't getting nobody nothing. See, that's a hardened heart. You got a hardened heart. You ain't gonna get nowhere like that being selfish. You know, the struggle ain't that serious to where you can't extend some grace, extend some mercy. It ain't that serious to where you can't help anybody. You know, but you want God to help you. It don't work like that. You know, you gotta be able to be yourself. You gotta be able to help somebody. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes you gotta stand, sometimes you gotta pray, sometimes you gotta wait on God and see which way He wants you to go. But don't think you're gonna get there on your own. You know, you can't do nothing on your own. You're gonna need help. You're gonna need people, places, and things around you that's gonna hold you accountable. You know, that's gonna help you see yourself. That's gonna tell you about yourself. You don't need nobody just watching you bump your head against the stone or they put a knife in your back and at the same time they praying on your downfall. You don't need that. You know, but if there's no pain, there's no gain. So, you know, just go back to the time when you was young, when you was, I don't know, maybe in elementary or something, and, you know, maybe you got picked on, maybe you got bullied, maybe you got mistreated. But you learned from that. You know what I'm saying? You didn't give up. You didn't quit. You didn't throw in the towel like, you know, okay, that's all I can do. You know, you didn't do that. You stayed true to yourself. You stayed vigilant. You stayed obedient. You stayed humble. The Most High God continued to bless you in the midst of chaos, in the midst of confusion. The Most High God continued to guide you through the valley of the shadows of death. You know? So don't come this far and be afraid of death. You know, you're afraid of opportunity. You're afraid to be successful. You're afraid to do. You're afraid to be who God calls you to be. You know, keep walking. Don't give up on yourself. Stay true to yourself and keep loving yourself regardless of what the situation may look like. You know, you're going to have situations, you know, that you come across, and you're going to have situations, you know, that's not so promising. Like, people may do all sorts of evil towards you or try to stop your opportunity, try to close doors of opportunity just so you can quit and just so you can give up. But I want you to know God says high and look low, and everything happens for a reason. And, you know, either you're in the middle of a storm, you're in the beginning of the storm, or you're in the ending of the storm. But no matter what, God will never leave you or forsake you, especially in your time of need. So it's important that you continue to trust the process. You know, continue to walk down that road that's less traveled. You know, God say the path is narrow and only a few will find it. And, you know, you may have found that path. If you find yourself alone, you know, people don't want to talk to you, people don't want to speak to you, people don't want to be around you unless they're using you, then I think you have found that path. You know, because we're in a world that's full of darkness. We're in a world that's full of chaos, confusion, drama, you know, blind leading the blind. A dog-eat-dog world, you know, where nobody wants to come together and see the next person win. You know, like a crab in a bucket mentality. You know, you won't have you can't have that type of mentality and think you're gonna win or think, you know, you're gonna be successful. You know, you gotta be able to help yourself, you know, before you can help somebody else. And you know, so continue to do what the Most High God is telling you to do. And don't quit. Don't give up. Thank y'all for being here. I thank y'all for keeping a positive mindset. You know, like this video, share this video, comment at the bottom. Let me know what you think about it. Subscribe to the channel. If you know this was helpful to you, then it's only right that you pass it to someone you love or someone you care about. You know, and you know, just continue to tell God thank you. And continue to walk, even though you are being afflicted. Trust the process. Trust the process and keep going. God bless y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace and love.